Hi everyone, Ross John Fortuna here, recording from Identity Week America in DC. Joining me now is Eric Shen, Inspector in Charge at the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. So I want to ask, from your vantage point in federal law enforcement, what's driving the increased momentum towards digital documentation within government ops and within public services, and certainly from your vantage as a federal law enforcement official?
When it comes to digital documentation, it's more for, I hate to say it, nefarious means. So, checks are still being utilized by businesses and banks and people. If and when it gets stolen out of the mail, that's kind of when we get involved. And where it becomes digital is where the perpetrators of the theft of mail and theft of those checks, they scan it and then they post it on social media sites like Telegram. They try to utilize those checks, again, to recruit others to cash those checks. So that's kind of where we're seeing when it comes to that digital aspect of it, when it comes to the federal law enforcement side, that we're a little concerned about, but we obviously are very proactive in the different types of investigations that we do.
What does that proactivity look like? What do those investigations look like?
Sure. So, we conduct undercover work on social media sites such as Telegram, where we do undercover buys, do investigations, and then also a lot of prevention messaging that we do on social media of just not falling for or not being recruited because of the consequences. Conducting check fraud, ID theft, as a mandatory minimum of 2 years in federal prison, on top of whatever else you're going to get for doing financial crimes.
What concerns you about those sorts of things? I guess I'm curious as to what you see as the big threats, what you see as the big things that are looming, because it's a pretty scary world.
As far as the threats, I think is just the ease of it when it comes to stealing the mail and then utilizing the checks for check fraud, and just being able to recruit, and how it's spread because social media is so big, it reaches everywhere. So mail theft used to be more contained of an issue. Now it's more kind of across the nation. But again, being proactive, having a national strategy that we have called Project Safe Delivery, we're able to really combat mail theft in a multi-pronged approach. It's not just the enforcement, not just the investigation, but it's a lot of the collaboration, a lot of prevention work we do with American Bankers Association, for one, other agencies, and then a lot of prevention messaging, like I mentioned earlier, as far as on social media, but also educating the public, educating everyone that, it is safe to use checks and mail it through the mail, but there's ways of doing it to ensure the safety of it, to make sure it gets to the intended person that you want it to get to.
I know you're on a panel today talking about physical documents in a digital world. Can you talk me through kind of what that means to you in your investigations and in this particular moment?
I think it's just part of evolution of technology, right? We used to write letters, and then we went to emails, and used to write checks more often. Now you can pay the bills online. You can get, paperless statements. So it's just part of the evolution. And just, I think for me, is just adapting. As a federal law enforcement agency, you want to always adapt and try to stay ahead or get as close to the latest trends as possible. So that's always something that I guess I'm concerned with, or always looking for, is what can we do next? What's the next thing we can do to ensure that trust in the mail by the public that are going to, mail out a check?
Well, to that point, I know it wouldn't be a conversation in this decade without asking about AI. How are you using that to within the law enforcement context in your investigations? Things, obviously, you don't tell me anything that's sensitive, but what broad strokes, how is the AI changing your job?
So kind of both ways again. Bad people are using AI for nefarious reasons. So for us, we try to leverage AI, and we're exploring it more and more on how to conduct investigations, how to identify certain websites or certain suspects or to that nature. But we are definitely exploring and leveraging AI for investigative purposes, but also for prevention purposes as well. Educating the public about AI is a key thing we do as well.
That's fascinating, because I know that the conversation I've had with other law enforcement officials has always been within the good guys ahead of the bad guys thing. How do you balance that?
It's a tough balance. I think you just have to be proactive. You can't kind of rest on your laurels. As an investigator, you're always looking for the next thing as far as what you can leverage in your investigations. What can you leverage in relationships and networking with, private industry and other federal agencies. I think that's kind of the way you almost attack the issue.
So as far as future-proofing that, again, the pace of technology is so quick. How do you keep up to date, and how do you future-proof your systems to stay ahead?
Well, you got to make sure you get the right people to work with you on that aspect. There's obviously, when you go to different conferences, you meet different vendors, you try and, research the latest and greatest technology. You try to leverage that to see if it's something that can be utilized for, your investigative, almost like an investigative tool belt, right? You want the best tools in your tool belt. Similar to that concept, you're always looking for the latest technology that you think can help you, carry out your mission, carry out to ensure that, whatever you're working investigative-wise, prevention-wise, is the best way to help others. Absolutely, everything is going digital, but there's still that starting point, and you're going to always see some documents. Something that I always say is what is old is new now. So even scams that you see, like Ponzi schemes, that happened back in the 40s, right?
Forever, sure.
It's been forever. There's now crypto Ponzi schemes. So, just like the people that are doing bad things, they leverage the old ways with the new technology. So there was always that melding of the past with the present and the future. I think the same thing goes for federal agencies, or at least law enforcement agencies. You have to continuously adapt. You have to really see how you did something in the past and how can you apply that, but apply it more efficiently to be able to better investigate, better do prevention, because your mission is to protect the American public. At least that's my mission, and that's what we do.
Sure. Well, that's terrific. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Appreciate it.
GovCast, along with Cybercast and HealthCast, is a production of GovCIO Media and Research. For more podcasts and to check out the other shows, head to govciomedia.com.